Welcome to the How to Be a Modern Content Creator mini-series. This is almost like a course of sorts, and each module is going to talk about different angles of creating this content ecosystem for yourself. Today's first episode is just going to be an explainer, what's going to happen, and go through each of the different titles and ideas, and then also kind of give a little backstory to what this series originally was going to be. And so back in the day, let's just start off with that. I used to create this series I called the Omni Content. And this is prudent because the whole premise of doing it was so that I could create a blog post, a video, and a podcast every single episode. So the series itself was not a topic or niche-centered series. It was a strategy-centered series. And so the series was, every episode was multiple formats. And then I would take each of those three and chop it up into micro content. So you would take the blog post and turn it into tweets and social posts, maybe a social blog, and then on top of that, maybe some quote images. You take the video, turn it into clips, and maybe do something else with it. But for the most part, clips are the only thing you can do. Same with audio, make an audiogram or something like that. And I wish there was some micro platforms for audio. That'd be really cool. However, that was the premise of it. And the reason why I did it is because I was obsessed with Gary Vee's idea of creating 100 pieces of content a day. And really, it's not really creating, it's more like you create a handful of pillar pieces and then chop it up and syndicate it. So between syndication and micro content and repurposing, you are able to get to that 100 post number. And so the idea was I wanted to create at least once a week, if not every day, 100 pieces of content. And so that was the idea. And eventually I might still do that. But for the most part, I just wanted to share this story with you because that series, again, wasn't niche focused. And so I had topics ranging from everything. But every so often I had these mini series. So I just got done recording and posting a mini series on my other channel around the 4 pillars philosophy. And that was a mini series I had planned probably 5 years ago, if not longer. And I finally got it done. This series actually started out again around 5 years ago, and back then the word influencer meant a lot more than it does now. And so the series was how to be an influencer. And I actually had to go change all the different episodes because they were kind of outdated at that point. And while the idea of being a modern content creator is essentially being an influencer, those things aren't necessarily the same anymore. And so I wanted to kind of go through each of the episodes here. Today, we're just going to simply talk about creating content and entrepreneurship and how to go about doing that. And then the next episode, we're going to talk about content formats. After that, we're going to talk about written content, then audio content, then video content. Each one gets its own episode, and then we're going to talk about content types, which are short, long, and live, and long form. So, and it goes into each pieces. So long form, short form, live streaming, and then once we get to the finish of those 2 pillar types, so we have the content types and the content pillars, once we get done with that, then we go into how do you manage everything? What does your content calendar look like? What tools do you use, etc. The next episode is social media and micro content. How do you disseminate all your different contents and syndicate it as well? And then you have empathy and followers. And this is something I definitely grabbed from Gary Vee's mindset. Like, you want to have empathy with your people that are engaging with you, and how do you understand your audience, that kind of thing. Finally, we're getting to some of the final episodes, and that's the personal brand ecosystem. This is what I do with PolyInnovator, for example. Through there, I created Poly Tools and the PolyInnovator Gaming, that kind of thing. And so how do you really manage that omnichannel presence and create an ecosystem? And so finally, after that, we talk about the final episode, the creator equation, and how do you actually take everything you've learned and apply it. And so really, in the long run, you have this whole idea of what all you need to do when it comes to being a modern content creator. These episodes are going to be going out once a week, and I want to just be consistent with you. And so that's the reason why I did this series so soon. I was going to make some random videos about how to be a modern content creator, but this, I think, is a lot more concise and trying to get everything through to you as soon as possible. While I could do it all at once, I think it's better for you to split it off over time. PolyInnovator's channel, we talk about self-education. Some of the things I've learned in my own self-education journey is that by spreading it out, it makes it a little bit more concrete in your head, and that's why courses often sometimes have drip delays that prevent you from progressing too fast. So there is a point where you might want to take it all in once. And so for those people who are like that, if you're watching this episode, it might still be too early, but at the end, I'll make a supercut of all the videos and put it all into one. And so if you do want to watch it all at once, you can. So getting into the meat of things today, this originally was going to be 2 separate episodes, but they actually go hand in hand, like, creating content and entrepreneurship. They're kind of 2 different topics, but when you are a content creator, you have to be an entrepreneur as well. That's how you make the money. That's how you get the monetization. Let me slow down because I know that a weakness of mine is talking too fast when I get excited. So think of this as like a short course, each episode being its own module. So making the rest of the series more aligned was the goal, and that's why I changed it. Many of this generation, so Gen Z and even Gen Alpha, is focused on being a content creator. It's an aspiration of theirs. And I'm here to teach you how to be a modern content creator. The key difference is a lot of the mindset that a lot of these creators have been teaching others is a little too dated. And I think that I really wanted to push the mindset of like, how do you do it right now? And how do you kind of future-proof yourself as well? So the first and foremost, some people are saying don't do this. I think it's still a great thing no matter when this is build a personal brand. That is your online reputation. I remember seeing a video by Dan Coe recently, and he's like, don't build a personal brand, it's too late. And I was like, no, that's not true, because a personal brand is your resume. It is who you are online. And so it's actually more important than a resume nowadays. And so like your LinkedIn profile is your resume now. If you don't have that, then you're kind of not existing to a lot of employers, for example. And the same thing goes to your prospective viewers and followers. If you don't have a personal brand or some sort of online presence, you are invisible to them. And so the content you're creating is an extension of your identity. And the more true you are to yourself when you're making content, the more that becomes a reality. So there's a lot of people, I haven't met a whole lot personally myself, but there's a lot of people who make content, and who they are in the content is not the same as who they are in person. And that disconnect can be very shocking to people when they meet you in person. So always try to be true to yourself. And if that means you're not comfortable being on camera, fine. We'll talk more about that when we get into the content formats, but just a quick little tidbit on that. You can create videos without your face. Faceless YouTube channels have been all the rage, and especially with automation now, you can do a lot with that. If you're comfortable with your voice at least, then you can just do voiceover channels, and that's fine. If maybe you don't like your voice, but you don't mind being on camera, or maybe you want to make videos, you can even go full on, just like do AI voice in AI videos. I want to preface that, like, be careful. Like, you don't want to be fully automated, because that can be kind of crappy quality. But if you do some like whiteboarding videos with an AI voiceover, that's not too bad, right? And especially if you're working on making the content perfect, that's great. But the point being is, you are going along with what you feel is best for you. And so really just create a message that resonates with your audience and reflects your own unique value proposition. The next step of this whole creating content entrepreneurship is the entrepreneurship aspect. You got to monetize your passion. And currently I'm struggling with that. I know what to do, but I've spent so much time making free content that I have not actually given enough time for my paid content. And so I haven't really made any courses in a long time. The 2 courses I made were free. And then I haven't really released any of my books yet. And so these are all things that would generate income for me passively, but I haven't done. Same thing goes for just using more affiliate links. I did go through both of the channels and edited all the videos to add my modern affiliate links, my current affiliate links, I mean. I keep saying modern a lot. But that way, if people are interested in the tools I'm using, like right now I'm recording in Meld Studio, if you're curious. And the reason being is that, like, hey, if you like that tool and you want to try it out, then you can use my affiliate link, no cost extra to you, and it helps me out and helps the channel out. So you got to think like an entrepreneur at this point. Every piece of content should have the potential to generate income, whether it's AdSense or affiliate marketing, that kind of thing. The next line was whether it's through ads, sponsorships, courses, or products. And so even if it's a video that's free, doesn't even have any affiliate links, it could be a link towards your course or your book or a paid newsletter, something like that. The idea is to diversify your revenue streams early on. Next is leveraging automation and tools. And so you want to stay efficient with the right tools for scheduling, editing, distribution, and automating those repetitive tasks so it allows you to focus on creativity and strategic growth. A lot of people get caught up in the editing, for example. I know I did. I hate editing. I'm actually thinking ahead of time now. I'm like, oh man, editing this video is going to be tedious because there's all these lines that I'm redoing or something like that. But in actuality, that's a skill that I've gained now. It's not a big deal. But you got to start thinking in that bigger picture. Like, what can I do now that will lead me to grow down the line? And so one of the reasons why I focused on free content so much is that I really wanted to build up an SEO following for certain topics. In fact, on my personal brand website, I moved all the posts over to PolyTools site, but on the personal brand websites where I started doing the PolyTools newsletter digest, and I wanted to build up a following around content repurposing and content creation, but mainly repurposing was the kind of goal. And I ended up building a lot of SEO for that. And I actually compete with a lot of the bigger repurposing tools, even when it comes to just SEO awareness on Google. And so that was one of those things where all I was doing is making free content, but now I'm actually a thought leader in that space because of that SEO. And that's why I want to make this channel too grow, because then I can even be in the video aspect as well. So we're going to end the episode here. And the idea, just to recap everything, is creating content is going to help you with your entrepreneurship. If you're trying to build a business, you want to create content for the marketing. If you want to be a content creator, you need to build a business around it. They go hand in hand. And that's why this is the first episode of this How to Be a Modern Content Creator series, because you got to think like a businessman. Cheers. Thank you.